We're rolling.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, just before you conduct your research on the bird of your choice here in the Arctic and also in your local community, we thought we'd fill you in with some extra details. Now, we're back here with Snowy, our ornithologist, and we've actually climbed off of the boat and we're now on land here in Spitsbergen in front of a huge cliff that you can see over here, absolutely filled with birds nesting. Snowy, tell us what's actually happening here.
So we've got a whole lot of different species of birds here. Mostly we've got black-legged kittiwakes, and they're up here because they can stay away from their predators. So the bigger birds can get access to them if they're up on the flat ground, and also the foxes. So they're up here, so they're out of reach of all their predators, but they can also build a little nest in these little niches and holes. And then they got access to the sea here, so they can go out to feed and get all of the fish and the other small invertebrates and things that they feed on, so they can get easy access to that. And then we've got a few other different species as well. We've got some Brunix guillemots and some snow buntings and even some puffins flying around. So it's a real mixture.
Now earlier on I saw some Arctic foxes roaming around here at the bottom, and I found this broken, what looks like a bird egg. Yeah. Why would foxes be hanging around here?
So with all of this activity and life up here on the cliffs, and it's easy for something to go wrong and fall down, and the foxes roam around searching opportunistically to try and find maybe an egg or maybe an injured bird or a young chick or something that's fallen from the nest, and it's an easy meal for them. So they know that, and they patrol around here to try and get as much food as they can.
Ah, goodness me. Now, I understand that there are, of these two birds that are here on this cliff face, there are two different kinds of babies. They sit on the nest, and when they're ready to fly, one of them jumps off when they can actually fly, and the other one has a very different story.
Yeah, that's right. So the kittiwakes, they will stay with the parents in the nest until they lose all their young downy feathers and they get their full adult feathers underneath, and they practice flying and they can fly off, and they leave the nests and leave the cliffs here and head off. But the guillemots, the Brunix guillemots, they have a different strategy. They stay on the nest for a very short space of time, and they don't have all of their feathers, and so they leave the nest before they can fly properly. Oh. But what they can do is glide, and so they can leap from these nests and glide down towards the water, and down in the water the father, the male of the parents, will be there waiting for it. Right. And so they glide down there, and they hopefully will land in the water close to where their father is, and then they can start to swim away, and he can stay with it and protect it, and they feed as they get bigger and finally get their adult feathers. But if they're not lucky enough, they might glide down and fall a bit short and land on the flat ground down here. Yeah. And then they'll have to make their way to the water. They'll have to walk or scurry their way down to the ocean, and that's when they have to be careful because they're vulnerable to foxes or other big birds like skuas and black-backed gulls and glaucous gulls. So it's a real test of their sort of stamina and ability right from the very day they leave the nest.
You have to be a very brave little baby to jump off a cliff without being able to fly. Now,
that's right.
My next question is, if there's hundreds of thousands of these birds all doing the same thing, how on earth is the baby going to find his or her father?
So they will jump off very close together. The father will jump. They don't feed the young one so that they get hungry. They have no choice but to leave if they want to get fed. Oh. And so the father will leave, and then the young one will have no choice but to leave very soon after. And they recognize each other by their voice. They've spent some time in the nest together, and they can recognize each other's calls. Oh. And so once they get down there, they will be calling constantly to try and locate each other, and they will swim around and come together and finally work out that it's the right parent and the right young one.
Amazing. Yeah. And then they'll spend a month together, father and daughter, father and son, bonding, getting to know each other. That sounds really beautiful.
It's not quite like that. Basically, they're trying to teach them that how to feed, get their own food for themselves, build them up so that they're strong, and so in a month when they have to leave them and go their separate ways, they're equipped to be able to make their way in the world and survive.
Wow, amazing. Okay, so remember, this week we want you to have a look at a local bird in your local community and think about how you can attract more bird life to your local environment, because as you can see, when there are many birds around, it's beautiful and the vegetation grows strong, just like the one around us here. Okay, off you go. Thank you, Snow, for all your insights. It's been amazing.
Welcome. Thank you.